All right, the time is now 6 p.m. Our regular city council meeting for April 27, 2021 is now in session. First on the agenda, our Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker will lead us with the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag and the state of Texas. Please rise.
Dear Father, be with each of us here tonight. Give us peace in our circumstances, clarity in our thoughts, and wisdom in our decisions. May we honor you in all that we say and do, and may the city of Schertz and all its residents, city staff, employees, and those who work here, play here, and just visit here be blessed. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
I do have a couple of announcements to make. Council, staff, and guests, if you choose, you may remove your face mask. It's entirely your decision. Also, as a reminder, students who are participating in the Hal Baldwin Scholarship are required to sign in on the sheet that was located in the back. Students watching our meeting online can still receive credit by contacting Sarah Gonzalez at sgonzalez@schertz.com. All right, we'll continue and we'll move forward with a employee recognition. Our city manager, Dr. Brown, has a special presentation, a 20-year pin to Sylvia De Leon.
Well, Mayor and Council, it's my privilege to be able to present Sylvia with her 20-year service pin to honor her outstanding service to the city and wish her all the best and thank her for all of her great service. So Sylvia, would you please join me up here? And she brought her family here, so that's awesome. Welcome. Glad that you all could be here with us. So Sylvia came to us in 2001. And she was hired in the, actually in the water department as a cash collections clerk in water billing. And then in 2004, she transferred to human resources, and then in 2006, she promoted to human resources senior generalist. She's a member of the Society of Human Resources Management and the Texas Municipal Human Resources Association. On her bio, she listed all the city managers that she's worked for, and I think that's 8 or 9, so it's been quite a list. And I thought this was great. She wanted to thank her current team, which was Jessica, Lindsay, Yolanda, Mercedes, and assistant managers Charles Kelm and Brian James for their service and for being able to work for and with them. So I thought that was great. She was born in New Braunfels and moved to Schertz in 1975, and she's a graduate of Samuel Clemens High School. So congratulations on that. Went to San Antonio College for Human Resources Generalist Certification. I did not know this, but she was a firefighter reservist for the Schertz Fire Department from 2003 to 2005, and she also attended the Schertz EMS Basic EMT class in 2003, so very versatile. In terms of her family, she has 3 sons in the Air Force. Her son, Bo, is a major stationed at Randolph. Her son, Michael, is a superintendent over basic training, and her son Eric is a veteran, and he's now an accountant for USAA. So congratulations, thank you for their service. So something to be very proud of. She's the second to the oldest of 10 siblings. So how many of us can say that? And she has 8 grandbabies. So what a family. And she says she's proud of her family reunions. They've been held for over 38 years now, every 4th of July in New Braunfels, Texas. So congratulations on that. Her mom was a business owner here in Schertz, and she loved Schertz, and Schertz was her forever home. In terms of her hobbies, things she likes to do, she says she loves her job. That's always a great testimony to our city. She enjoys traveling to visit her sons and her grandbabies, wherever they may be stationed at. She likes to cook big meals for her family. Her favorite time is spending time with the grandchildren, drive-in movies, swimming, holiday get-togethers, and any time to watch them grow. And she enjoys working on her house and renovating. She also says she bought a violin for retirement and will learn how to play it. So we look forward to that. That's another awesome goal. So Sylvia, thank you again for your great service. 20 years is something to be very proud of. And it says a lot about you, it says a lot about our city, your dedication, your commitment, all the things that you've worked so hard for, and we thank you for that. And we look forward to many more years of great service. So it's my privilege to be able to award you your 20-year service. Congratulations. Want some more pictures? All right. I think the HR department wants to come up.
These are for you. Thank you so much. We wanted to get a picture with you.
Oh, great. Oh, that's awesome.
Great to have a team with you. All right.
Perfect.
Now you get to talk, Sylvia.
I'm going to hand these off. Thank you for your family. Hey, you see butterflies coming out of my mouth. It's because they're in my belly now. A little nervous. Well, good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Management, Dr. Brown, Mr. Kelm, Mr. James, and Ms. Sarah Gonzalez. Thank you for the opportunity to serve our city, our citizens, our employees. It has been a great pleasure, and I'm thankful. To God first, my family, my brothers, my sisters, friends, grandbabies, Pete, Patricia, Jesse, to my sons who are here this evening, Michael and Eric, and to my son, Bo, who is currently TDY at the Pentagon and wished he could have been here and might be tuned in, thinking of you, Emil. And to my dad, who might also be watching live stream. Also to my team, my day family, Lindsay, Jessica, Yolanda, Mercedes. A big thank you to all of you. It means the world to me that y'all are all here. I am grateful for 20 years God has given me to be able to serve. Thank you all.
Sylvia, thank you. Thank you for the service to our city. We really do appreciate it so much. And you have seen Schertz since 1975. Since you've been here, you've seen the changes that have occurred. And you were part of those changes. Thank you so much. We'll move on to a presentation. Ms. Bennett, Mr. Allen from Green Valley Special Utility District will be making a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation regarding the winter storm event.
I'm going to see how, okay. I have a voice that carries really big, so I have to be careful on the on my microphone here. Well, yeah, it's going. Well, while it's coming up, I'm Jill Bennett. I'm currently the president of Green Valley Special Utility District. This is Pat Allen, our general manager, and we also have two of our board members, Bob Roberson and James Harden, in the gallery there, giving us moral support. So thank you for having us come in. All right. Of course, we all know that, see if it'll click forward for me. How do I get it to move?
Or we need, see the next page, the arrow down to the right.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm used to having them. Okay, all right.
We did that off
Yeah, I'd like to have a full screen. I've been out of the classroom too long. There we go. That'll work. Okay. Most of you know that we experienced a record winter storm in February that kind of caught us all off guard. Of course, we had 24 hours and 7 days that we were above freezing only a couple of those days. Of course, a lot of systems were never designed or anticipated for this prolonged event of ice and snow. And of course, we had several other things with rolling power outages. Our CRWA water supplier was also crippled with the same situations that we were dealing with the rolling outages. And then we had some control system outages, a surge of customer demand, and many of our personnel were out sick with COVID. Now I know where to go. All right, so if we put all the numbers together, some of the facts that you can see, we had 125 hours below freezing with 5 main line breaks, and none of those were due to freezing. They were just because they were going to break. 250 customer leaks were detected. Over 8,000 total customers were impacted somehow by our outages. We had 18 of 42 of our employees out with COVID. Pat even had to get back in the trenches and go fix lines, so I was real proud of him for that. He says, yeah, I had to go back to many years ago. We had 3 to 10 linemen that were available for maintaining our 500 miles of pipeline. Our 4 water wells and our 12 water entry points and 11 water distribution sites were affected, and those guys logged 432 hours of overtime in 1 week. There's just a graph showing some of those numbers and day-to-day how the weather was dipping and rising and dipping again, and so that's pretty much that. All right, some facts. Of course, I've already stated we have 500 miles of pipeline, and Pat's done a real good job configuring it for redundancy and flexibility and reliability, but that just took the cake. It was a mess. We have a service area of over 120 square miles and an average of 4 miles of pipeline in each square mile. And in another slide we allude to, that's like having enough pipeline from 500 miles from here to El Paso. And with 10 guys working on that length of pipe, they were pulling some serious hours and sleeping at the building and all kinds of crazy things. We had 28 pumps, 3 hydrostatic tanks, 14 ground storage tanks, 5 elevated storage tanks, and the problem that we had with our elevated storage tanks was there wasn't enough water pressure to put them up into the bowls to bring the water back down with enough pressure. So they're nice, but they were crippled as well. Our system serves those city limits and ETJs up there that we have on the screen. So we're pretty spread out, and a lot of those areas are really growing. Y'all know that as well. All right, there's our 500 miles of pipeline equivalent to El Paso. We take water out of 12 different external points at CRWA, Lake Dunlap, and Wells Ranch. 3 Edwards Aquifer wells, 1 Trinity Aquifer well, and 2 emergency interconnects. That's where we get our water. And then we have 11 distribution sites. And like I said, Pat has done a real good job looping things and designing things for flexibility and redundancy, where he can take some water from one side of our district all the way over to the other and try to keep everybody happy with their water. Of course, it wasn't just us. It felt like just us. But we were at the mercy of GVEC, CRWA, CPS, Well Ranch, the suppliers of diesel and equipment and parts when things would break. And so there we are, funneling all those people into us and then trying to deliver to and keep our customers happy. It's kind of a cascading disaster. When pumps stop running, things stop heating, things freeze up, control systems fail, and then even the communications suffer because everybody's busy trying to keep all that other stuff running. And then it results in storage tanks not being refilled, the pipelines drain, the water stops flowing, the pressure goes down, the customer drip lines even freeze. backup systems are inoperative, valves and control systems become inoperable. So it was just a, you know, it just all rolls downhill. You want to take this from this?
Sure,
Okay.
I'll take over. What Jill's trying to describe, some of the things that we were facing, Green Valley's done a good job as far as the water sources. We mainly get a lot of those from CRWA, or Lake Dunlap plant, which is located in the Braunfels area. We have 3 Edwards wells, 1 Trinity well, and 1 Carrizo, and several Carrizo wells through our Wells Ranch system, which is very similar to the Schertz system that y'all utilize as well. But however, we also had generated power throughout our system. However, there's not quite enough of that in our system, so our plans moving forward is get more of that. But when our other suppliers start suffering, then it caused us to suffer. With our Wells Ranch project that is in Gonzales County, like I said, very similar to Schertz, as they started suffering with power outages, they could not treat the water and get it to us. And so our system started to fail, which caused us the outages through our system. With the intermittent power and the freezing temperatures, as Jill explained, and once that power starts going off, your heat tapes quit working, pump control stopped working, your SCADA control loses communications, and various other things happens. It's kind of a building block, and it just all stumbles at one time. I'm not following the script, as you've noticed. I'm horrible at this. I usually just talk. I don't follow any script, so you have to apologize for that. But anyway, this is actually a picture here is of City of Cibolo. One of our engineers got an elevated drone shot of that and showed that to us. But you can see the snow covered everything. Excuse me. So there's hazardous driving questions, pipelines were drained, equipment malfunctionings, all of the above is the reasons why we had so much trouble. However, there was many parts of our system did not go without water. One of the main things that we did operationally is to be sure our chlorine residuals were throughout our system were in compliance. Even though those people weren't not getting water, those that were getting water, we made sure our system was compliant with TCEQ regulations. On the Wednesday after the storm had hit, we had to file our first boil water notice in our 63 or 68 years of service. By the following Tuesday, we were able to lift that notice. Once our system got back up to par, our pressures restored, flushing and done, and residuals will pass the bacteriological samples. Our plans moving forward is to get additional elevated storage. We have 2 elevated storage under construction right now. We're getting additional generator power. It's key water plants throughout our system. The CRWA system is also looking to get additional generated power at their 13 well sites, so we can maybe head a storm off like this in the future a little bit better than what we were this time. I think this storm caught us all by surprise. I know we have several emergency interconnects throughout our system. One of them is with the city of Schertz over off Cibolo Valley Drive. We did not utilize that emergency interconnect. I didn't feel it was necessary at that point in that time of our system, so we didn't utilize that, but we were thankful that it was there. We've had that for many years with the city of Schertz. So moving forward, our board of directors will be looking at budget items that we'll be preparing for moving forward with our engineered design of our generator power and some other improvements at some of our water plants. Kind of where we are.
And you can see up there how many voice calls were made out, the text messages that we sent, the emails that were sent, letter to keep everybody abreast of what's going on. Could it have been more? Maybe, but everybody was working at max. So we got a better, well, we just put on our new system, our alert system. We got crashed in February. We found out some flaws, and of course we're fixing those and getting those fixed up. And then of course the financial impact, you know, we don't really know where it's going. The good thing was that we had no vehicle accidents, nobody got hurt, and our CPS electrical surcharges have been minimal, unlike some others that we've heard. So we're hoping that that doesn't trickle down to any of our
We did make an adjustment of all of our customers, both residential and commercial, across the system, where we took the average of their January and February bills and charged them the lesser of the two for the month of February and March, so, which helped out quite a bit on some of the customers that had a lot of leaks at their own properties.
And when we handed out water, because we did a water distribution day, of course, they still had to boil it, but a bunch of them were coming in going, we don't have water. And so Pat would send the guys out and find that they had leaks on their side, but at least they were able to identify where they were. So that was one good thing about having the water distribution, was that people would come in, Pat would say, we should have water there by now. And then we found several leaks on personal property. That's what you just said about the bills. And we're working more and more and more hand in hand with our partners so that we can work hand in hand to hopefully alleviate those power surges and, of course, fix up our equipment.
From what I understand, the areas that we served in the city of Schertz, mostly industrial over 2252 in that area. Of course, a lot of them were closed during the time period, but they still had water throughout the time of the storm. So we made sure that they were up and running, and that particular area of our system was up. Parts of Cibolo, most of it had water. Some of them were lower pressure, but we maintained that as well. It was mostly the rural areas that suffered the most, away from the cities, where the meters a little bit further apart and much more pipeline in between. But as most of the part, out of the 14,000 customers, only about 8,000 reported that they did not have water. So it's about half, a little more than half, but we hope to do a little better next time and prepare for that.
And our customers were pretty helpful. All right, are there any questions or comments that y'all would like to make?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It really puts a whole new perspective on what you were going through. And, sometimes we only realize what we, as a homeowner, is going through, but...
Oh, water.
Yeah, exactly. All right, council, any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
This is our first time for ever presenting at City of Schertz. We hope to do a little more of this in the future. I promise to follow the script next time. But
This time.
I'm horrible at it, but I'll give it a good try. But we appreciate y'all letting us come tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you again for the information. We'll move on to city events and announcements. Announcements of upcoming events.
Yes.
Yeah, Ms. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple announcements for tonight. So first, on Saturday, May 1st, is going to be the City Nature Challenge. And that's going to be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Crescent Bend Nature Park. Schertz Parks and Recreation will be joined by the Guadalupe Master Naturalist to share information and encourage residents to find and document nature in our area. Event details can be found on the Schertz Parks and Recreation Facebook page. And then we will be back here on Tuesday, May 4th for the next regularly scheduled council meeting at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, announcements or recognitions by our city manager, Dr. Brown.
I don't have anything further, Mayor.
Okay, announcements and recognitions by the mayor. I just want to say thank you to the volunteers for the food drive that we had today. Quite impressive with the number of people that showed up on that food drive. Thank you so much. We'll move on to the hearing of residents. This time is set aside for any person who wishes to address the city council. Each person is limited to 3 minutes, and we ask before addressing the council, for the record, please state your name and address. And I have the hearing the residents here, and no one signed up. Mrs. Dennis, did anybody forward any emails for the hearing the residents?
Yes, sir. We have one email from a resident that I'd like to read.
All right, please.
All right. This is from Mr. John Sullivan, 513 Triple Crown. He writes, I would like to pass along some comments since I won't be able to attend tomorrow night. This is regarding item number 6, workshop on the Schertz Sweetheart Program. I enthusiastically agree with the idea of a more inclusive program geared towards leadership and fostering a young volunteer community that informs our city leaders. This aligns well with the leadership initiatives in our local schools and modernizes the program to be more beneficial to both the participants and the community. This also aligns with our Hal Baldwin Scholarship and current student council programs. I strongly encourage the direction staff is taking to transform the Sweetheart Court into the Schertz Young Leadership Program. Thank you to everyone involved. Mr. John Sullivan.
All right, thank you, Ms. Edmondson. Now we'll continue then with the consent agenda items. Consent agenda items are considered self-explanatory, and information packets are provided to council and available for public viewing. These items require no separate discussion unless requested by council. Item number 1, consideration or action regarding the approval of the minutes of our joint and regular city council meeting on April 13th, 2021. Item number 2, resolution number 21R36, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing additional expenditures with Boundtree Medical totaling no more than $175,000, and with Henry Schein Incorporated totaling no more than $100,000 for medical supplies and other matters in connection therewith. Council, do any of these items need to be removed for separate consideration? I hear none. Is there a motion to approve agenda items 1 and 2?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Davis, second by Councilmember Dalla. Any other comments? No other comments? Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
We have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes. All right, we'll move on to discussion items. Item number 3, ordinance number 21T16. An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing an adjustment to the fiscal year 2021 budget to provide funding for an amendment to the 2017 roadway impact fee program, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance and providing an effective date. This is also our first reading. Ms. Woodley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Kathy Woodley, Engineering. So this is like the consent agenda, probably fairly self-explanatory. We've been collecting roadway impact fees from the areas that were defined as service areas when we adopted the roadway impact fee program. An issue is that as properties get annexed into the city, we cannot collect impact fees from them if they're not within one of the previously defined service areas. So there are a number of properties that are either in the process of being annexed or we expect to be annexed soon, and we're looking to amend the program to make sure that we're able to collect impact fees appropriately and also give credit for construction of thoroughfares that would be constructed by those developers of those areas. So this ordinance is simply to authorize a budget adjustment from the impact fees that we've collected already in order to pay our consultant and any other expenses to prepare that amendment.
Thank you, Ms. Woodley. Council, questions? No questions? Yes, council members.
Yeah, I may have missed it, but what is the long-term fix for this? Every time we annex somebody or somebody comes into the city, it seems a little excessive work to amend the ordinances.
Well, we do, we're required by statute to update the entire impact fee capital improvement plan and the program every 5 years. So at a minimum, that would be the time when we'd pull together all the areas that are being annexed between that 5-year period. In some cases, you'll notice there's, I think, the Saddlebrook development, Carmel Ranch. There are some fairly significant known developments looking to develop in these areas and being annexed, and there are some significant thoroughfares that run through these areas as well. So there isn't really a fix. We need to do it if we're going to be able to collect the fees from those areas or give credit for any construction of roadways. We probably wouldn't do this just for the smaller lots that aren't necessarily looking to develop. They're just falling out, their development agreements are expiring or they're choosing to annex, but not for a particular development purpose. Does that answer the question?
I think you're going to play it by ear as we go along,
That is true.
which
But
is a little bit scary because sometimes developments can go in a heartbeat. And if we're behind the power curve on that, the roads have to be paid for by something or some entity. And I hate to see the city picking up the tab for roads and things that really subsidize a developer. That's my only concern. But it's something that needs to be watched carefully, I suppose. That's all I have, sir.
Councilmember Brown.
Yeah, just a quick follow-on that, and I kind of think I know where Councilman Scagliola's come from. Is there some way that we can put into this that there's a catch-all and all further annexation over the next, put a 5-year period on it or something?
It's not quite that simple because there's actually a calculation that needs to be done in order to establish the maximum fee that can be assessed, and that calculation is based on population within the service area, and that if the area that's being annexed is not within the service area, it's not being accounted for in that calculation.
Okay. Now, I remember when we did this a long time ago, there was talk about future annexation, and the answer was, as it comes along, we're going to have to include it.
Yes.
Okay, but there's no way to put a blanket statement in there that covers this. No. Okay.
Unfortunately, no.
I mean, state law prescribes what we have to do, right?
Correct.
When the areas are being annexed. So, I mean, we're pretty much bound by what the state law is going to require us to do. And this is not going to be a every 6-month kind of a thing, would you? I mean, this is going to be
We don't expect it to be.
Yeah, every couple of years or something, maybe.
All right, council, any other comments? Is there a motion to approve ordinance 21T16?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilmember Brown, second by Councilmember Davis. Council, any other comments? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
We have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 4, ordinance number 21T18, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing an adjustment to the fiscal year 2021 budget to provide funding for professional services related to the relocation of the water and wastewater utilities on FM 1518 from FM 78 to I-10H, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance and providing an effective date. This is also our first reading. Ms. Woodley, you have the floor again.
Thank you. So this is the ordinance to actually allocate funds from the construction reserves of the water and wastewater operating account so that we can pay a consultant to design the utility relocations that are needed for the 1518 project. So at the next council meeting, we'll be bringing the second reading of this ordinance and also a resolution to award the contract to Half and Associates for that design.
All right, council, floor is open for discussion. Yes, Councilmember Dalla.
Just real quick, what kind of timeline are we looking at for completion of the design?
Well, we have, the consultant has actually gone out on a limb and been working at their own risk to move this along because we do need to submit to TxDOT our construction plans this summer.
Yeah.
Even though that, so the situation is that we're going to joint bid our relocations with TxDOT, so they'll put it into their construction contract. That contract won't be let until September of 2022 is the current schedule for that, so it seems like quite a long time from now, but because there's so much coordination that has to happen first, and other utilities that are going to move by themselves without joint bidding need to have our design so that they can proceed with their relocations.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay. Council, any other comments? I see none. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 21T18?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, second by Councilmember Hayward. Any other comments? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 We have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 5, ordinance number 21T17, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing an adjustment to the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, and providing an effective date. This is also our first reading. Mr. Walters, you have the floor.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is James Walters. I'm the Finance Director for the City of Schertz. Just like we had earlier during the presentation, we also have to talk about the winter storm with GVEC and the impacts we're seeing for the city. We can mention what's kind of going on in the community as well. Just like they mentioned, winter freeze happened in February. Overall, probably 10 days throughout the entire state. Sustained freezing temperature statewide caused power delivery issues, as we mentioned in the previous presentation. ERCOT, Electric Reliability Council of Texas, actually set their price of electricity at $9,000 a megawatt hour, which is the maximum price they can set it at. They had their own reasons for that, but what happened as a result of that was led to a high cost of electricity to providers. Through those rates, providers now have to pass along those costs to the ultimate end user, their customers. So GVC had some high electric costs and now must spread out to its customers as well. Luckily, we did ask some questions. Residential customers, GVC actually had a specific fund balance set aside to help alleviate large fluctuations in rates for residential customers. So they won't see a very large change in their bills going forward. There will be a change as GVC starts to replenish that fund balance. What impacts us tonight and what we're here for is the commercial side. They actually pass on ERCOT's rates to the commercial customers in some way. So what that looks like for the city of Schertz, in 2019-20, Schertz paid GVC about $460,000 in electric fees, citywide. All of the stuff for the city of Schertz, all of our buildings, all of our water pumps, our entire system. The adjustment for the winter storm charges is an additional $63,000 or a 13% increase. So during that month, February, we still paid our sort of average bill of $5,000 in the general fund. After the rates have been calculated, they come to us proposing the $63,000 as an additional cost for that winter average. They've also given us a couple of options in order to pay that. We can do it over 48 months. If we do that over any extended time period, will be a 2% service charge, basically taking out a loan and covering that cost for us, but we'll be paying the finance charge for that. Or the city can pay it all up front, not incur any additional charges. Since the charges for service are in FY 2021, the city must recognize the full cost of service in our financial statements. So we'll still see that full $63,000 on our financial statements, even if we decide not to pay it all out right now. So it really determines cash now or cash over time period. On that note, the city does have cash available to pay right now if we choose. What we brought to you before tonight, staff wants to discuss with council, see which option they would prefer. There's also with a 13% increase, that will affect the budget. A lot of those accounts will then be over. We don't want to impact any of our other services negatively. So what we have tonight is also a ordinance for budget adjustment. There's always a chance that these charges will be covered in some portion by FEMA through the declaration of emergency. We're not quite sure. We have reached out to those folks and haven't heard back just yet on whether or not we'll be able to submit for those. If we do, we'll get some of the money back as well. But ultimately, again, the question right now is, do we pay it off over time or do we pay it off up front? And we also have the Chief Operating Officer from GVC Sean Alvarez here, help us answer any questions the council may have over the specific calculation of those rates, any sort of the background work that they did, and what they're looking like right now as well. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walters. Before we proceed, I did misread this ordinance. My note said year 2019-2020. Actually, this is a budget adjustment for the fiscal year 2020 and 2021, just to make that correction. All right, council, floor is open for discussion. Yes, Councilmember Dalla.
Just a question, because we're talking about GVEC. I know we also have some accounts with CPS. Is there any information coming from CPS about a similar charge?
They have not reached out to us yet. Overall, the electricity for CPS is the lower one. So GVC is our primary electricity provider.
That's all I have.
Any other comments?
Okay, along the same line, NBU, they do provide service to certain members on the north side of the community. Any word from them?
We have not.
Okay.
And they've handled their own billing on that side, so as well, any sort of the water, sewer as well services. They haven't reached out to us either with any information.
Yeah, well, it seems to me the bill's got to get paid. I don't see any sense in financing it at 2% when we have the money in the reserves now. So then Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 21 T17 with the payment of what's it, 63?
Yes, sir.
63,000 and change.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Scagliola, Councilmember Scagliola, to make the payment, the one lump sum payment, and approve ordinance 21T17, second by Councilmember Davis. Council, any other comments? Yes.
I just wanted to clarify that, so if we approve it, we're approving it with the caveat that you were asking which one, and we're voting on the paying it up front, right?
Yes, that's correct. Could you put the slide back on there, the one with the one-time payment, or there it is. So the motion was made to make this the payment without incurring the 2% finance charge. All right. Any other comments? Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 We have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes. Thank you. All right, we'll move on. Our City Secretary, Sheila Edmondson, will provide us a roll call confirmation on consent agenda items 1 and 2, and discussion items 3, 4, and 5. Ms. Edmondson, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Consent items 1 and 2, the motion was made by Councilmember Davis, seconded by Councilmember Dalla. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, Davis, Dalla, Councilman Davis, Councilmember Dalla, Councilmember Scagliola, Councilmember Hayward, Councilmember Brown, all voted yes. Motion passed 6-0. Item number 3, description ordinance number 21T16. It was the first reading. The motion was made by Councilmember Brown, seconded by Councilmember Davis. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, Councilmember Davis, Councilmember Dalla, Councilmember Scagliola, Councilmember Hayward, and Councilmember Brown all voted yes. The motion passed 6-0. Item number 4, ordinance number 21T18. It was the first reading. Motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, seconded by Councilmember Hayward. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, Councilmember Davis, Councilmember Dalla, Councilmember Scagliola, Councilmember Hayward, and Councilmember Brown all voted yes. Motion passed 6-0. Item number 5, ordinance number 21T17 was the first reading. Motion was made by Councilmember Scagliola, seconded by Councilmember Davis. The description of the ordinance included the notation that the ordinance would be paid with one lump sum of $63,000. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, Councilmember Davis, Councilmember Dalla, Councilmember Scagliola, Councilmember Hayward, and Councilmember Brown all voted yes. Motion passed 6-0.
All right, thank you, Ms. Edmondson. We'll move on to our workshop discussion on the future of the Schertz Sweetheart program. Ms. Strom? Do we have anyone here from Parks? Okay. Hiding in the back there. You didn't expect us to be here this quick, huh?
All right, good evening, Council, Mayor. I'm Lauren Strom, Director of Parks and Recreation and Community Services. I'm here tonight to talk about the discussion on the future of the Schertz Sweetheart Court program. I think I came about 3 years ago now to talk about the program, and we talked about some ideas of the evolution of this program. At that time, there wasn't consensus to kind of change, but because of the pandemic, we've changed how we've done the program. So we want to take this opportunity to have this conversation again and talk about changing the program. So a little bit of history, if you're new to the council, the program was created back in 1989 by the Schertz Business Association. It was sort of a predecessor to the current chamber. The city took over that program from the chamber in 2007. The focus of the program has been a traditional pageant program culminating in a coronation ceremony. The court has participated in special events and parades in neighboring cities. They've done some community service projects, and they receive scholarships as part of the program. The logo is there. That's kind of the branding that we use currently for that Sweetheart Court Scholarship Program. So because of the pandemic, we canceled a lot of events, obviously in 2020, and we had to change the way we did the court. So we did the application online through the city website. We did a selection process all virtual. So we did Zoom interviews. They had to record their video talent on their own and submit it. Instead of a ballroom gown competition, they did a TED Talk type topic, like a persuasive speech, and they videoed that and submitted it. And then they still did the interview with the judges. It was just all done through Zoom. So that 3-panel team of community members judged the applicants. And obviously the calendar of events was greatly reduced due to the pandemic. So we tried to create some alternative programs for them to do. They did the princess reading at the library. They always do that, and they did that virtually as well, where people could sign up and they did it through Zoom. So we were able to do some things, but not all the traditional parades and festivals. So the goal now, we've been kind of waiting to come to council to get feedback on the program to see how we move forward, and kind of waiting to see what was happening with the pandemic this spring. So we're a little bit late. Normally we'd be advertising right now. But the thought is that we would conduct the program this year the exact same way we did last year with the pandemic. We know we're opening up events and doing things, but however, the Civic Center is still used for vaccine clinics. SCUC is not leasing facilities currently, so we can't rent the auditorium, so we can't do the traditional coronation. But we'd like to still move forward with the court and select it the same way we did last year. However, we'd like to change the program next fiscal year, so that's what we're here to discuss. We'd love to evolve it into Schertz Young Leaders is kind of what we're calling it right now. And it's similar to what New Braunfels does with their youth leadership program and other cities across the state. TML actually has a youth advisory commission, and they do a leadership retreat every year through TML for these young advisory commissions. And there's 38 different cities, I think, that have the YACs is what they call them. And so that's sort of the vision we had for the program, is to evolve it into this, open to more youth, have more of an impact. Right now the program only serves 4 in the court, and we'd like to be able to have 20 youth involved in this program. Additionally, as we've worked with the Sweetheart Court over the last couple of years, we've really tried to push them to be more engaged with the community out at the events, you know, exchanging with the public, and a lot of them are reserved and not as comfortable with that. And we realize the program isn't really tailored to train the participants up in those leadership skills. So we'd love to be able to have that focus on that and really get them comfortable with public speaking and being in crowds, engaging with council, engaging with their community, and, you know, just training that new generation to be civic leaders, essentially. Again, like I said, we'd have more impact on the youth. We could have up to 20 participants, engage the next generation support. They could be a sounding board for council on issues. Often we would love to engage them on parks and recreation issues. Like we always talk about how we don't have anything for teens to do in the city. This would be a great way to have a sounding board, this ready-made teen board to sort of help us do that and formulate new programs and give input on facilities and parks and things like that. We could still do monetary scholarships. The current program does do that. They would be obviously reduced due to the number of participants, but we could have a scholarship component if we wanted to. Other cities do not have a scholarship component. So the new format, like I said, would focus more on the leadership, on the communication, on how the city runs. It's sort of a cross between the program we have with the junior highs where they come in and do council for the day. It'd be like a mix of that. It'd include team building. We'd take them on a retreat and do like a ropes course team building type thing. Really focus on civic responsibility, self-confidence, community service, how the city works. Again, engaging that group to be the next leaders, to be the next people who serve on council or on the boards and commissions, and just really fostering that. So they want to be involved in Schertz in the future as they grow. So that's basically the synopsis of what we're looking at. With that, I want to open it up for feedback on that general concept, what you guys think about the change, and if that's something we want to move forward with next fiscal year.
Thank you, Ms. Sherman. All right, we'll open it up. Mayor Pro Temp Whitaker.
I like sitting right next to him because flag him down. So question real quick. You're talking about this so this year you're going to move forward with still the Sweetheart Court as you did it last year. So this is.
We thought we would have a pause, but we didn't think that council would want us to have a pause, so we can go ahead and continue forward with the program as status quo as we did last year, and then work to transition this next year.
Is there any feedback as far as participants or the community in general, like, oh, we don't want to see the Sweetheart program go, or do you feel like the interest is kind of waning anyway? I think that was somewhere in the packet that it said there wasn't as much interest.
Right, so I've had 2 people ask about the program so far this year if we're going to release the application, a current member and one that applied previously. But in the presentation I did several years ago, we looked at the participation and it did wane over the years. There were several years, 3 to 4 years, where we had 4 applicants and we have 4 spots. So it was an automatic crowning. We did have 1 year where we had a dozen, but it has ebbed and flowed and it's always been on the low end. Contrasting, when we started looking at what other cities are doing, and I found out that Leadership New Braunfels had 100 applicants for 20 spots. I went, whoa, how do we get 100 applicants?
Yeah.
And we figured the format is different, obviously, and it's very specific, so broadening the opportunity would allow more youth to participate.
So are the other cities doing it? I'm just wondering, first right off the bat, I love it. I love the change. I think that's a great transition and move. I'd love to see, something like that, leadership opportunities at that level. Is it like age-wise? What's the target audience for them? Who are you bringing in?
Right. So currently the court is 9th through 12th grade.
Okay. So any high school?
It would be high school. Yeah.
Okay. So since there is already a pause, I'm just curious, are other cities doing it at a certain time of the year? Because I'm just thinking for scholarship opportunities, is it possible to do it starting in the fall so it's like a full school year that the program runs? And then just one idea would be to have those scholarship opportunities available at the end of their term and awarded to some of the members based on their participation throughout the year. That would kind of motivate them to do more activities throughout the year.
Right. Yeah, that's great feedback. We haven't really fleshed out all those details yet. I mean, we do look at the timeline, and we've traditionally done it, apply applications in the spring, and then the coronation in the spring, and then they would start in the summer because that's when the parade season started and those kind of things. But you're right, Youth Leadership New Braunfels shifts it to the fall and the spring, and then they have a graduation at the end of the year. It's time to the school year. I think we still want to have some involvement in the summer in our community just because of our big jubilee and have them participate in that as well. So it would be a little bit different than what New Braunfels is doing. Again, that program doesn't have a scholarship component to it. They actually have to pay to be in that program, $200. Right now, we pay between $4,000 to $5,000 in scholarships per year. We could divvy that up and they get $250, or like you said, they could compete at the end out of that 20 for the scholarships. We could do that. Yeah, so we can work through that. I mean, we could, if the direction is to move forward with a change, we could just definitely flesh out all those details and have the application and come back with all those, if there's interest from council in going through that.
I definitely like it, so I'm highly in favor.
Okay.
Okay. Councilmember Hayward?
Okay, was I hearing correctly that the participants pay to participate in the program?
In Youth Leadership New Braunfels, they
Okay.
pay. This one, we didn't decide whether we'd pay or not. I mean, we already have a budget, so we figured we wouldn't.
Okay, I like the idea of them, because then you determine who really wants to do it when it's a paid thing. And as far as the scholarships, I'm wondering, can we just do away with the scholarship and then they just apply for the Hal Baldwin Scholarship? Being that sometimes the Hal Baldwin Scholarship doesn't seem to get as many people applying to it, because then they will know about it if we're explaining it to them.
Right. It's a great time. We've actually thought about that. We thought, man, you know, the vision sort of aligning, right, with what Hal Baldwin Scholarship is supposed to be about, developing young professionals who are interested in civic service. So that could be a great tie-in. Yeah.
So then when they're paying, it's not that much of a cost to the city, or what kind of cost to the city is that when they participate?
So the current court budget is $10,000. We could reduce that. We could use some of that to, like I said, take them to the YIC Summit that TML does, so there would be a cost to that. You know, team building activity, going to ropes course, there'd be a cost to that. But
so it wouldn't increase the budget that we already give
it would
to the
not
Sweet House?
increase. We're not recommending we increase the current budget. No.
Okay.
It would be a net neutral change.
Okay. Because I like the idea of bringing younger people in and exposing them to, you know, what cities do.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't realize that there are a lot of positions and things that they can do in the city. And so I think it's a great opportunity, because I know with the student council, that's typically the younger kids, so they get involved and understand what city council is, but they're younger. And then this would be a great way to do the high school kids, so they get experience in what opportunities are in the city. So I like the change. I do like the idea of, if they are paying for it, then we know that they really want to do it, and it's something they're striving to do. Because sometimes when you have that free, you have a lot of people, and then they get in because, oh, it looks good on my resume, so I just want that. And then when I go to college, it shows that, but then they really don't do what they need to do or to participate. So when it's something you really want, you're paying for it, and you will participate because your parents or you've spent the money to do that. So I'm good with that.
Okay.
Councilmember Brown?
Again, you know, change is good. This looks like a great direction to go in. Is it going to cause any more staff burdens? No.
Net neutral in cost and staff time. Yeah, we would just be shifting. Instead of working with the group to get ready for the coronation and all the things that we do, it would just be eliminating that and shifting to, you know, team building activities, or, you know, bringing in community leaders to speak on topics.
Even if we don't do 20, maybe we do 12, whatever, it's still a large increase from 4 that, you know, you have pretty much set programs for that have been in place for years. So I think it's got a lot of opportunity, and, you know, I won't try to get into the curriculum, but lots of great opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you.
Councilmember Dalla?
Yeah, I just concur with everybody else. I think the idea is a good direction. Having the opportunity for more kids to be involved and participate and learn how city government works can be nothing but good. You know, the exact way we roll it out, you know, certainly, you know, we'll have some ideas and feedback on that, but, you know, all the things that have been mentioned, maybe somehow tying it to the Hal Baldwin Scholarship, you know, maybe we look at, you know, using some of the funds that we're allocating for the scholarships and adding to that, or not, or, you know, there's plenty of good conversations there, but I think the overall direction is a good way to go.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Scagliola?
Yeah, I have really mixed feelings about this, because I remember when I lost my election a few years back, there's a lot of things I didn't miss about being on the city council. One of the things I did miss, though, was the Sweethearts Court. That was kind of the highlight. Times are changing, and the utility of the Sweethearts Court as it was designed 15 years ago maybe isn't appropriate now. I remember at one time we had a Mr. Schertz.
Right. One time, yep.
So, you know, then it shifted to all young ladies. So this is one opportunity to get more young men involved.
Right.
And there are some parallels to what we have right now. That student council that Ms. Brenda has set up, mostly for junior high kids, but you know it's the same thing. I do have some concerns. Is this just a repeat of DECA, which is what the schools have now? You know, are we duplicating a program that already exists?
I don't think so, because I think we're offering that specific component about city operations that you don't get in DECA. I mean, from what I understand of that program, yeah. That's about involving or training leaders, but involving them in the business community and job skills and things like that, which we want to touch on that a little bit. But I think we do really want to focus on city operations, civic service, team building, leadership, communication, public speaking. Like I said, I would still love them to participate in our events and be active and be volunteers. I would just really like them to shine, you know.
Yeah.
And not that our ladies don't now. I don't want to make it sound like they don't. It's just a different, like I said, it's just a different approach.
Yeah, the thing is, it was kind of hard shuffling the activities of 4 young ladies. How in the world are we going to shuffle the activities of 20 or so individuals?
Well, we need to look at it. The way Leadership New Braunfels does, they actually worked with the school district, and they do some of the activities during the school day, once a month. So they have the blessing of the school district, again, because it is such a coveted program, and it involves the chamber, and it involves healthcare and higher education and all the facets of the community. So it's really prestigious, because that's why there was 100 kids trying to get in. So I think we could work with the school district and talk about that. But you're right, that is a challenge because of their after-school activities and jobs and things like that.
And the other things, hey, what about the float? We paid a lot of money for that float.
They could still ride on the float.
We have 20
It can be
now.
council's float now.
I like my fire truck. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Greenwald. I remember the days when you were driving that truck. That truck is as old as I am.
Yep.
It's probably in better shape. But anyway.
You have options now for parades. We'll
Yeah.
just rotate them. Okay.
You know, yeah, that's about all I have. There's, you know, it's a great idea. It seems like there needs to be a little bit more of a consolidated plan going forward. And oh, by the way, you know, if this is worth doing for next year, why is it worth doing now? Have we put out the notices for our Sweethearts Court for 21?
We haven't. And we could pause if that's the consensus I get. I think we were just feeling that it would be missed and we didn't give enough notice that we weren't doing it to the community. And maybe in fairness to the current court and people who were ready to submit that application, we do it now and let them have that one last year. And then we say, going forward, this is going to change. So next year.
Well, then, in fairness to me, as my final act for the Sweethearts Court, hey, let me at least, you know, be invited to something.
Absolutely.
I was really disappointed last year. I wasn't even notified that any kind of interviews were being taken place. It was everything was just hush hush, and then all of a sudden. So I really would like to get involved at least one last time.
Absolutely.
That's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. You know, the Schertz Sweethearts did provide, they were ambassadors for this city, and we really appreciate all the work that they had done since their inception. But we heard it from council. I think it's time to move forward. 20 participants. That's a lot of ambassadors that we can spread the word on our community and the good that we have here. One thing that you showed the picture of them wearing some nice little jackets.
Yes.
We need to distinguish our young leaders when they are in the public, so there's something that we might have to address at that point, so that we could, they're not just ordinary teenagers.
Right.
They are leaders. So we want to make sure that we can recognize them. So that would be something that we would like to see. But I think the council has given direction on this. This is the last year for our Schertz Sweetheart Court. And moving forward, we have Schertz Young Leaders, and we're going to have 20 of them, and that'd be exciting. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Let's move forward. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Schramm.
Council.
All right. We have item number 7 is the COVID-19 update, our biweekly COVID-19 update. This is information packets that were provided to council and is available for public view at our website, schertz.com. So we'll move on to requests and announcements. Announcements by our city manager, Dr. Brown.
I did just want to have one thing. I wanted to recognize Charles Kelm, our Assistant City Manager. He was elected as the Secretary Treasurer for the Region 8 of Texas City Managers Association. So congratulations to him, and he'll eventually become the president of the region of our city managers. So that's great for his professional development. He's also going to go on the Professional Development Committee next year. So congratulations to Charles.
Congratulations, Mr. Kelm. Appreciate it. All right, council, any possible updates or information you'd like from staff? Council, is there any items you'd like to place on a future on a future agenda? Hearing none, okay. Announcements by council members. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker.
Yes, so this past, I guess, 2 weeks, so still continuing with the Citizens Police Academy on Thursdays. I think we've got 2 more classes left. Participated in 1 vaccine clinic last week, or 2 weeks ago, I believe. Also attended the 12th Flying Training Wing Military Affairs Council Luncheon at the, it's every 2 months. So this time around, it was at the 435th Flying Training Squadron. So we got a good, just an overview of what that squadron does and what their future looks like there. So it was really interesting. Chamber Luncheon also was that same week. So, and that is it.
Councilmember Davis?
Nothing, sir.
Councilmember Dalla?
Last week, the Chamber Luncheon, as well as the Cibolo Valley Local Government Corporation Board meeting. We have a joint meeting with Cibolo and GVLGC coming up in June. There'll be some good discussion then.
Councilmember Scagliola?
Yeah, I did on the chamber luncheon, also attended a couple of ribbon cuttings with the chamber, and a couple of times over at the shot clinic. Thank you to all involved in putting that together. It is, I think it's one of the things that makes the sunshine brighter in Schertz.
Councilmember Hayward?
Chamber luncheon, the MAC luncheon, and it was an interesting luncheon on the future of where they're headed. I attended the food drive this morning and then watched the TML legislative update this afternoon. That's all.
Councilmember Brown?
Nothing tonight, sir.
All right. The time is now 7:12. We stand adjourned. No.